we quite find ourselves in a lot of what I call uncomfortable situations unknowingly. Um, for a long time, I never really got a grasp of how we end up in situations like this. So it could be anything or anywhere from just being in a, a, a corporate environment or just being in an environment with your friends, even a relationship with a girl that you've known for so long, a relationship with a man or boy or guy that you've known for so long, a relationship with your step parents, for say, or the reason I say step parents is because I want to bring different different environments together. That's why I keep pointing out the word environment. But you could also be in a situation where just as a college student in a dorm room with some strangers that you just moved into, you just often find yourself in a lot of uncomfortable situations. But you tell yourself over and over again that you are not, or it's just what it is. You tell yourself all the time that it's such as life, you know. Um, but what causes all these environments or all these environmental uncomfortability is very interesting. It's a lot of different situations. I can't sit here and tell you that I know every reason why people get in uncomfortable situations like that. And by uncomfortable situations, I really mean like you might be in a place, let's say you work, I'll talk about a corporate environment where me as an African um, individual from from Africa, an African American, but I was gonna say African American, but African American can mean anything these days, But I'm really born and raised. I was really born and raised in Zimbabwe, Africa. So I have to be specific because everybody can claim anything these days. A lot of mixed genders, mixed. I mean, whoa, don't cancel me. A lot of mixed, yeah, mixed genders, but a lot of mixed personalities, mixed races, relationships and all that. But anyway, so African guy in a corporate environment. I'm in the management space. I'm a supervisor, let's say, per se. And when you work in these companies, you tend to gain some comfortability around all these people that you work with, where even people who are above you, they start getting a little bit personal, not in a bad way per se, but they just start building this relationship with you where they feel like they can say anything to you. They can approach you in any other way, where they can give you nicknames. Gone are the days when you've been working, the HR, HR might push, you can call people these names. But you get to a place where people just start talking to you normally as if, you were home or you've known each other for so long. And it's okay. I mean, it's good for the environment. You don't want to work like robots, when you're at at a corporate, because that's when people get stressed and all this stuff. But anyway, being African, I'm in a corporate environment. Let's say there's this, we could say, I'll say this Caucasian lady um, who's also in the management space. We are friends. We're building this friendship. We talk to each other as if we just known each other for years. But then as you go into a relationship, as years and years go by, you gain this comfortability, like I said. Then they give you these nicknames, because they know I'm from Africa. So they start giving me um, nicknames based on movies like um, Coming to America, or and in most cases it's coming from a happy place, it's coming from a good place. At least I would like to think so. That's why I'm talking about this specific situation, because they might call me Eddie Murphy's character, or they might call me something from The Lion King, and then they have mixed reviews, mixed feelings. So the reason I gave this example, because the thing about being African, at least in my own perspective, we take things, especially when it comes to race, and that I don't want to make this a racial conversation or racial episode. Absolutely nothing to do with black and white, but we take things as if with a small grain of salt when it comes to racism because we grew up in a predominantly black environment where whenever you have any other race around, if they treated you unfairly or anything like that, it was so vivid. You would really see it. You know, it was so clear. I'm sorry. It was so clear that you would know if somebody's being malicious or they're calling you something. It wasn't some of these, you know, ways they would just show you signs or they would say something that may sound as if they're being malicious or they're being racist. It was just clear cut. If somebody wants to call you something, a peasant or anything, at least in my environment, in my space, I mean, in my situation, when I was back home, and we experienced racism like any other person does, whether black, white, red, yellow, purple, blue. But when you got it done or when you experienced it in your presence, it was so obvious. You know, they'll really call you a peasant. It wasn't so much of this systematic way, or did you mean that? Did you mean that? It was specific. If they wanted to call you a name, they wanted to call you a lion, they call you an animal, a baboon, they'll say, you stupid baboon, you know, because it was in the situation that this stuff happened when you were back, at least in my days, it was for that purpose. They wanted you to feel that pain. So when I came to United States and everything with everything happening right now, and you know how it's so, you know, racism is very, you know, emphasized, and then people are digging through it and trying to figure out what it is. Was it racist to me, or he said this, he looked at me this way? So like I said, as Africans, we sometimes miss the cues. We miss the cues. At least I'll speak for myself. So if this Caucasian lady who happens to be my friend, you know, she calls me a name from the Arab, you know, coming to America, she make references coming to America from the Lion King in this corporate environment, I often laugh it out. Never think about it a lot. Then I have this friend, this African American friend at the same corporate environment, or lady that's seeing all this, and then sometimes she might just walk in a conversation with me and this friend who happens, this Caucasian lady who happens to be a manager, like I said. So we just having conversation. She say, and then she'll make a reference when we're talking about it. You know, maybe this new product that line that we're working on, and she just make a reference to being to Eddie Murphy's film. You know, to coming up. And then this black lady, African American lady, comes in, and then she walks in right in the midst of that conversation. I mean, of that joke or of that reference, because I'm so used to it. She calls me this. You know, I personally, like I said, in this instance, I'm not looking at this. She's disrespecting me. I don't even think of it. So when she walks in, the black lady, she goes, she doesn't say anything. She just, you know, listens, goes about her business, but she looks, you know, suddenly like she looks confused a bit, or she feels out of place with the reference. So she doesn't say anything. Then supposedly I'm done working with this, you know, lady, the white lady. She goes away. And then one day I'm just sitting with this black lady, and she asks me, she says, hey, this lady, I've noticed that she calls you, and this is on a later day, right? She calls you, she says all this stuff to you. You know? She says all these references about being from Africa and stuff. Are you sure you're comfortable with that? You know, we're just having a conversation now, me and this black lady. But at the time she brings it up, I said, you know, I even have to think about it. Oh, African reference. Oh, calling me Ed Murphy, you know, coming to America. So me, obviously, excuse me, the way, podcast bounded, by the way, coughing. The way I look at things again as an African American, I mean, as an African, it's so difficult to say African American, as somebody from Africa, is I explained to her, I said, you know, I don't think she's being malicious. I don't think she means in a bad way. And I mean, we've been friends. We talk. We laugh every time she does this. I take it as just, it doesn't bother me. Why do you feel that when she explains her reasons why? And just in that moment, you know, I brush it off. We still work. So now I'm driving home. I think about it, and I say, oh, who should I believe? Because now it keeps a light bulb in my head. Like, so was this lady was calling me Eddie Murphy from Coming to America? Were referencing, you know, calling me the king or Prince? Okay, that's the nickname she calls me, Prince. So to me, I'm looking. Oh, she's calling me a Prince. You know, huh? I feel like a prince. But then I think about it when I'm driving after I talk to this black lady, and now maybe mixed emotions as time goes by, and I'm thinking, and the more she calls me, I would say, "Hey, hi, Prince." And now, I'm driving home. I'm thinking, so I'm like asking myself, yeah, was she really saying this to be friendly? Was she really saying? Did she sit there and say, "Okay, let me be racist to this guy, or let me call this guy names"? And also, I also go into her shoes. I'm like, as a white woman, before you say these references with everything going on around, don't you think you would be, careful about your words, because we are in corporate environments now. If we're outside, just friends outside the work environment, maybe you could say it nationally, and it would be good. It would be okay. It wouldn't be bothersome, right? But then I'm like, now I'm stuck in this mindset. So who's right? Who's wrong? So now, do I bring it up to her? I mean, this has been going. Let's say this has been going on for a year or so since I started working at this job. Never took it that way. And mind you, there's days when this lady comes into work, the one who calls me the prince. She comes into work, she brings cookies for everybody, and we have a good working relationship, at least to my experience, my perspective, um, my point of view. We do have a great relationship. We work together. She's married, um, with kids. She's a mom. That's the point of this. So I tend to look at mothers as people who are very, with the woman being a you know a career of life. So they do feel for others. So I always look at things that way, because women know how to raise life, because they have babies. They creators of life. So I have already twisted my mind to that too. That's what helps me try to respect every single lady that I see that walks on this earth, whether they're bad or not or anything. So anyway, so to me, I'm thinking this is just another great woman, great lady, uh, a blessing to earth, because that's why I keep producing human beings. So it never crossed my mind that, not to say that there's no. You see the truth. Look at that. You see, I have to always give a disclaimer. It's sad. This world that we're living, I have to always give a disclaimer every time I say something. But I'm gonna stop. But anyway, so I just feel like she's a great lady. But that day when I was driving home, when this other lady asked me to think about how this girl or lady is calling me these names, referencing all these names. So now I'm sitting there like, okay, is the black lady the one who's just thinking deep into this? Oh, is she the one? Is it because of the environment? The way things are going right now, the era that we live, the generation that we live, that is so there is this PC culture, right? Or is this just actually reality that's going on right here? Is she really calling me this? Is she really uh, doing it on purpose, or is it just strictly ignorance, which is key? I don't know. That's what I tell myself, that night. I don't know. But the fact that she's brought it to me, the African American lady brought it to me, and of course, and here's the thing: she's older. She's older than me. So, with older people, I tend to try to find the wisdom, whether it's a lady or male, or even people who are younger than me, generation. I like to learn from anybody, because wisdom doesn't just come from a specific era or specific age, specific gender, specific, right, whatever. But with the elderly, I like to listen to them, because they always usually have a lot of great point of views, and the way they view life and things is very interesting. It teaches me a lot to see. It's just like when you go, when you listen to your grandma, and she's talking, she's telling you stories, and then Every example she gives you, she always explains why this is that way, why that is this way, and so forth. So I have to be forced to listen to this older black lady because she's been through it. She's experienced it. There's a lot of things that they see that I probably would not have seen at this age because I'm a little bit younger, right? So, and mind you, the girl, the Caucasian lady, she's also a young lady. So she's also growing up in this age where, my, childlike mindset. Don't, don't look at things, to the specifics. Okay, he called me this, so this means that. So, anyway, I get to go to work the next day. Now everything has changed to me now. Perspective. Now I'm even feeling more uncomfortable. Remember the uncomfortability I talked about at the beginning of the podcast? Now I'm more uncomfortable at work because now that this lady has explained to me that I don't feel that lady has a right to be calling you this, but if you're okay with it, that's fine. But this is the black lady explaining it, but she just feels as if the young Caucasian lady is little bit disrespectful. It might be out of ignorance, it might be, purposely done. Either way, it's just not right. But now, everything I'm seeing when I go back to work is everybody, even the white guys or Caucasian man. Now I feel like every reference they do is being disrespectful to me. So now I question myself: is this what's really causing the world being in shambles right now, where everybody feels like they have to be correct? Everybody has to feel like they approach each other at the most 100% right or accurate, or is this really racism is going around? Is it really systematic racism is going around? Or I don't know. Political correctness is a thing. Heavier than it looks like on the internet, or is it just the minds or the mental aspect of things going on? This is me asking myself these questions now on a day-to-day basis when I'm in this corporate environment, while I'm in the middle of work, in a meeting. When somebody says something, they're presenting a project that we're working on, and they may make a joke about me, and it's just as a stigma. It's easier for somebody. My president of the company might say, "Hey, Melvin, so when you sell this, maybe a lot of kids might like this because rap music is in style, But then he might just say it looking at me, just something as simple as that. But then so I ask myself, okay, why is he looking at me? Is it because I'm of African descent, so I like rap music? So now there's both sides to the story, right? So I say this to say that we get in a lot of uncomfortable situations, but how do we handle that? Actually, before I get to this next point, there's a twist now to this young Caucasian lady, right? That I didn't even mention into the whole story that I was telling you. But I don't think about it until we're in this position after I talked to the other black lady, my coworker. I think about the twist, because the twist is that the Caucasian lady happens to be married to an African American man, and they have children together. Now, why does this matter? Because when she was making references all along to these movies that involve African or anything like that, she would also she also makes it a habit of talking to me. Maybe it's just making up conversation about things that really relate to African Americans. But again, in her defense, maybe that's why she knows, because she's married to an African man. I don't know what they're talking about at their house. I don't know what movies they're watching. I don't know what music they're listening to. I have a brother who's married to a Hispanic uh, uh, wife. His wife is Hispanic, and so I do know that for the just naturally he's African American, born here by the way, but my parents, but his parents are African, but she's Hispanic, but naturally they're gonna be stepping in different cultures within their relationship because they're all from both different angles. So he might listen to reggaeton or Hispanic. I can't really I don't wanna mess up the names of these of their genres, but like Hispanic music, and she might also eventually be listening to rap music or whatever music he listens to, African American or jazz, whatever. But so I say this because maybe that's what she knows, maybe that's what she's referencing. But I never thought of every time we talked. I never even looked at it that way. I just went with the conversation. We just talked about everything just like I do with that, like we do. And then she'll call me this, she'll make fun, she'll joke, we laugh together. But I never made jokes, at least to my knowledge, I never made jokes that reference a white culture, you know, purposely because consciously I just know it would not be, it would sound, or maybe here and there I might say, I don't even think so, but I might say reference something that sounds like, okay, or this is what white people do, or this is what Caucasians do, or something like that, like everybody else. But it's very protected, at least coming from it, very protected, very. I may say something that's very well known or popular or used, or but the comparison is not there. I don't even, I can't even recall any joke I say to her like that. So anyway, again, the reason for talking about this is because we often find ourselves in a very uncomfortable situation without knowing it. But only until this other black lady pointed it out to me, then I realized, oh, maybe I wasn't comfortable with this lady saying this stuff to me all along. I wasn't this comfortable with it. I thought of it. I thought it, but I just went over it. Just being the person I am. I just, like I said, Africans, especially us, we try to get away from this. And I'm just the person. I'm not gonna fight. I'm not going to fight the cause. You know. Uh, I'm not the confrontational person. Maybe I should be, but I'm not gonna confront somebody for what I feel because, like I said, it's a very thin line because it could be ignorance. And the moment I just step my foot and say, "Hey, boom, you are saying this and that. I don't like that." Might be a great thing. Might be the best way I can say in the most respectful way. But that alone is, it builds up an even more uncomfortable relationship. And then now everybody's gonna step on on eggshells, of which I've been stepping on eggshells without knowing it. Uh, so it's an interesting situation. I can give another example. You might even be in a relationship w- with friends, a group of you guys and friends, and they make all these jokes about, you know, about your weight. Maybe you're heavy. For years you've been a heavy set person, but you build this comfortability that, okay, you accept. You don't let it get to you, but because you gotta look at something about uh, insecurities. Insecurities, when you have insecurities, you choose when to show them, or we choose for when to react to them. When your friends are calling you big or fat, and they say in a joke way, especially us guys, we just say things. Guys, we just say things. We just, we macho. That's the conversation, right? That's the no, that's the stigma. So when they call you big or whatever for years, for you just get used to it, and it's just your friends. But I've noticed that most of the people, like, when my friends grow up, and or friends, or even my brothers, whoever, family, when they do, some who have, like, especially the ones that have been always heavy set most of their life when they're young, when they grow up, and they lose weight, or they do whatever they have to do to get themselves healthier and, in better shape, they always talk about how the pain, the hurt that people were calling them big and all the above cause them to lose that weight, and it inspire them. Some people, they'll still remain that way, but not trying to sound PC, saying, okay, you shouldn't call somebody fat. I mean, we just have to respect each other in the best way we can. I do it too. There's some friends of mine that I call, things maybe that they negate, but they don't try it, they don't show it. I just feel like it's funny, but because they let me say it, and I feel like it's right for me to say it. So all these are uncomfortable situations. You could be around these friends, they be calling you all this and that, you're laughing with them, but when you go home, you're going into this big depression when it's you in your bed. You're sleeping, now it's starting you, now you get unconscious, it's making you don't know how to talk to this girl tomorrow, this beautiful Beyonce looking, Kim Kardashian looking girl, because what your friends are already telling you, they're laughing with you, they're saying you're fat, but so what they're telling you, you have no chance on anything that, that's, and this is not for everybody. Some people have good courage and whatever it is, but just naturally, you feel like you don't have a chance on all these people that look, that look beautiful. Or these things that require somebody who's skinny, muscles, 17 packs, but yeah, that uncomfortable situation. The question is, how do you tell your friends? Because now, like I said about the young lady in my first conversation, my first example, how do you bring it upon your friends without making it uncomfortable? Like, hey guys, I don't like when you guys say, when guys call me fat. I don't like when you guys laugh at me when I'm eating this big old juicy, big, uh, fluffy pancake with full of syrup. I don't like. How do you bring that apart without trying to make the conversation a little bit uncomfortable? Because now when you guys go out to eat and you get this, everybody's just stepping on eggshells. Now you were the one stepping on eggshells, but now that's my question. How do you bring that upon your friends and say, okay, I'm not comfortable with this? And we see it every day as we walk this path of life. We get I I can give a lot of examples of situations I've been with where I was in an uncomfortable situation and I just never knew that I was uncomfortable because I just let it flow. I just let it go. And the reason is just because we get so it's fear, just like with anything. Just like it's just we're afraid to lose something that we really care about. That because there's some people that make you feel so good, some people that you enjoy being around. I mean, imagine being with the best friend who's been abusing you or bullying you for the rest of your life, but then when you guys were together, you were having fun in certain instances. Ignorance again, and by bullying, I'm not meaning they're punching you in your face or kicking you, or strangling you. I mean, like they probably helpfully saying some words to you. They just calling you stuff. They're saying things when you're around girls. They probably embarrass you and it bothers you, but you can't say that because you really look up to them and you like them, and you just so drained and stuck into that mindset that this is my best friend. They can't do you wrong. So that's what I'm talking about. So we build that fear, and we don't want to lose. And at times it takes something big to happen for you to realize that you don't belong. And because with life, it can't be fun if everything is perfect. Sadly, the police have to exist. I mean, I say that backwards. The criminals have to exist for police to have a job. Death has to be present for hospitals to exist. Pain has to be present for happiness to exist. Sadness has to be present for happiness to exist. Now, do we wish for all those things? No. That's just what life is. right? We just play. There's a thin line in life. Everybody tells you this. There's a thin line in life. You know, where you're just fighting this game. You're dodging. You're going through obstacles. You're going happiness, joy, sadness. It's just it's. I'll give a good example. One last example about this, and the reason I'm talking about this is because we need to learn. If you get stuck in an uncomfortable situation, we need to learn to get out. Get out. We saw the movie that came out a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago. That was a very good example. Jordan Peele really did a great job on that. Um, he made sure that was an eye opener. It's I'm a little bit late on this talking about this, but I looked at the message most when that now I respect him because I too kind of understand where he was going. Um, the whole concept of about Get Out, was about a black man who stumbled in a very white, very weird world that most of us do get into, and that's the reason for giving the first example. And after dating this girl, I think the guy's name was Chris, Kaluuya or something like that, and Rose Williams, and they were headed upstate to hang out with her aggressive white parents. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have seen this movie, but people saw it and it was one of those things that was, pushed a little bit to the side for several reasons, but we'll get to that in another episode. But their parents, but that was a perfect example of an uncomfortable situation because when he visits them, the whole movie is showing you the pointers. It doesn't even have to be about racism, like I said, or it's just there's a little things like when your mind tells you that you're not in a good position, or you're not in a good place, you're probably not in a good place. You know, um, even from the beginning of the story, where they run into a deer, and then when they see a deer, he purposely had the police come because it didn't make sense why the police, or maybe the lady called the police, and then the police comes in there to see why they hit the deer. And the very first thing they ask is for the African American, ask for the ID. All those things do happen. I don't know how to explain. It does happen. It's not. That's why I say, like, is an African American when they come in and they ask me for my ID, I'm just gonna give them naturally and stuff. But when I go back, I'm like, wait a minute. Why did he ask for my ID? What does this have to do with the deer? What does this have to do? Like, because he was in the wrong area, So, the young man thought he was in love with the girl, but it took him a place to understand that even the girl, out of ignorance, I don't think she knew. Like, the whole story is that she was part of this whole, uh, thing where they replace, brains, partial brains, dominant consciousness of the rich, and all this stuff on the movie. But that again is a sign. It's not literal, but it's a sign to mean the stuff that we all go through. So, unfortunately for the young man, in order for him to get out, he had to do all this, the involved, the girl dying and his best friend driving the TSA, car to come and pick him up and help him. But his friend has been giving him reasons to get out of that situation for years because he knew that he was not in a comfortable environment. So my lesson for today is that we need to learn to get out. If you're in a corporate office, you work in a corporate environment. I had Lillian Boy last week on the episode last week, and she also talked about the importance of knowing who you are. The average person is not happy for the job they work for the person they work for, but they'll stay there. They'll stick to it. They need to get out. The average person, girl or boy, are in a relationship they truly know they're not happy. Happiness doesn't mean going to the movies, going to eat, going to Japan, to France. It's the little things. In order to you to be happy, you need to get out. Even school. You're going to school, it applies in everything. You're going to school, you're studying something just to make us Africans, to make my parents happy because I'm enrolled in school. And, they can be pushy. They can be upset about that stuff. They want you to get that degree. But do you want to get that degree? If the answer is no, and you're stressing yourself, and you know it's a passion, there's something else that you like to do, there's a power in everything, that something that you're really good at, get out. Get out and do it. It took me so many years to understand this. I've been in relationships, I've been in friendships, I've been in jobs that I did not even like. But it was simple. I used to stress and depress, and in relationships I ended up cheating. Thinking I'm happy, but I'm coming here being somebody I'm not. I'm going to date other girls. You know why I'm doing that? Because I'm not happy. I'm not just this guy just because we just it feels maybe that's what it is. But I'm just not happy. I'm going to drink. I'm going to party. I'm doing all this stuff because I'm not, And when I'm partying, I'm hanging out with these friends that are calling me names. They're doing all this stuff, and I'm just going with the flow. But the only thing I had to do, and I still continue to develop, to grow, to learn, the one thing I had to do to get out of this situation was to get out. It's in the movie Get Out too. There's a part where uh, there's an old man in a wheelchair, I believe, and he actually makes it sound. When he talks, he has conversation with a young black man, and he makes it as if he believes in what's going on, like what I was talking about in today's time, but he makes references to Obama. And even for that young man, it's hard to understand if he's really supporting. It's those little things that hurt the most. And that fear. I'm not losing. I don't want to get out of this situation because I don't want to. Trust me, it's always greener pastures at the end of the world. Because the more you stick in a situation you don't want to be in, the longer it is going to be hard to grow out of it. And you're always going to be going the same cycle. When you get out, you're learning who you are. You are also moving on in life, and you will just experience. You're building that wall that next time you go in a situation like that, you know what to do. The first time you get out of a situation, the few next situations are going to be even way easier to get out of. You just need to learn to make that next step. You don't owe anybody in this world an apology. You don't owe anybody in this world time, which is very important. You owe yourself the value of time. Nobody else. So get out. Remember, it is always better to accept reality or any external misfortune, as life is always unpredictable and the results are not always in our hands. Such is life.